Learn Box, a vision for new style of learning.
Hi folks, this is Rajiv Verma and the topic for today's discussion is pagination using Apex. Before starting with today's topic, let me introduce myself briefly. I have more than 5 years of experience in the training and teaching field. I've completed my post-graduation, my MTech in Computer Science and Engineering department. I started my career as an assistant professor and worked for 4 years at the undergraduate and postgraduate departments in some of the reputed engineering colleges in Nagpur city, including the second biggest college of Nagpur, it is YCC Nagpur. Apart from my academic career, I have almost 1.5 years of experience as a developer and a technical trainer with VPS Solutions and Nice Software Solutions Nagpur. Here, I've extensively worked on Salesforce and MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy is the most basic business intelligence tool, and Salesforce, as we know, it is world's #1 CRM, customer relationship management software. In my companies, I have delivered more than 10 live trainings for clients around the globe, and I delivered those trainings in different time zones, in Indian time zone as well as in Pacific time zones. Lastly, I am a certified Salesforce administrator as well as I am a certified Salesforce developer. So this was about me, and let's start with today's topic. So today's topic is pagination using Apex or pagination in Salesforce. First, let us understand what pagination is. As can be seen on the screen, pagination is the process of displaying large number of records and displaying the records on multiple pages within Salesforce. For example, if in your object you have 10,000 records, so to view all those 10,000 records on a single screen or on a single page is very difficult. So in that scenario, you'll want to arrange those objects, arrange those records on different pages. That kind of bifurcation is called as pagination. As you can see on your screen, here we have certain records, and apart from these records, we have certain buttons. So if I click next, next 5 records would be seen, and if I click previous, previous 5 records would be seen. So this is the actual purpose of pagination, and this is something which we have to achieve using our Apex development. So without wasting any more time, let's start with the development. In our previous video and Salesforce relationship, we have created certain objects. If you remember, customer object, passport object, address of customers, and currently if I see customer, we do not have any record here. So for testing pagination, for developing pagination, we should have certain records, and instead of wasting our time in manually inserting records in customer object, let me do it using programming. Let me do it using Apex programming. So for that, I'll select on this gear button. This is our lightning org. Okay, whatever we are doing in Salesforce Lightning. So let me go to my developer console. So this is my developer console. Here I'll go to debug. I'll open my anonymous window here. What I want is, I want to create a list here. In Salesforce, we have three kinds of collections: list, sets, and map. Whenever we want to enlist certain records onto our object, we use list. Our aim is to add multiple records onto my customer objects. So let me create a list here. List. I have to add the object API name here. I can simply write my API name. I can simply type my API name, but it's always a good programming practice to copy the API name of the particular object from the admin panel. So for that, I'll go to my admin and I'll click on setup. In the object manager drop down list, I have my customer object. Here you can see in your customer object you have the API name. So just copy it from here. And I'll paste it here in list. Now I'll give a name to this list. Let me give a name list to this, equal to new list. Again the API name of my object followed by open and close parenthesis. So this is the first step while creating a list. Now what we are doing is we are inserting records, multiple records in our object. So for that we have to use a for loop to choose what number of objects I should insert. So inside for loop, integer I equal to 0. For example, I want to insert 10 objects, only 10 objects, only 10 records rather into my customer object. So I less than 10 and I plus plus. So the index value would be from 0 to 9. Okay. Let me include a bracket. Now I also want to specify what names should be given to those newly inserted records. So for that I'll insert a variable here. So the API name followed by the variable, let's say L equal to new. Again my API name is my field, is my custom field here. You can see in fields and relationships, you can see name is a custom field here. So here for that I have to use its field name, that is name underscore underscore C equal to customer plus I. So the newly inserted records would be customer 0, customer 1, customer 2 and so on. Now I want to add this variable L onto my list. So I'll use my list name, that is list dot add and L inside the parenthesis. Last thing I want to do is I want to insert this list onto my object. So for that I'll use insert list and semicolon. Yeah. So I've created a list, then I've created 10 objects and I also specified what will be the names of these objects. So let me execute this. So it has executed successfully without any error. Let me now check whether these records are added onto my customers or not. See, earlier there were no customers here, and here total 10 records are added. These are customer IDs, and if I open my customer, see, customer 0, and say let me open my next customer 9. From customer 0 to customer 9 we have. Okay, so this is how we can add multiple records onto my objects. Now what I'll do is I'll create a Visualforce page along with the Apex class for that. Okay, so for these 10 objects I'll implement pagination here in my customer object. So let's create a Visualforce page here. So we'll go to setup, we'll search for Visualforce pages here. This is a Visualforce page. Here we'll create a new Visualforce page. I'll click on new. So first we have to define the label for this Visualforce page. Let me give it an appropriate name. It's pagination. So this is my Visualforce page. Yeah. Currently there are some line of codes written here. Let me delete all these lines and I'll start it again. So the very first thing in Visualforce page we have to write is the Apex page tag. So I'll write Apex followed by page. Okay, so Apex page, and also we have to end that Apex page. We have to create an end tag for that. So let me end this Apex page as well. Now all the lines of code would be between these two tags. So now inside this Apex page we have to define a controller. So basically there are two types of controllers available. First one is the standard controller and second one is the custom controller. So what standard controller is? In standard controller you take all the standard functionalities of the pre-created objects. So if you want to insert all the functionalities of our object, then we have to use standard controller. But if we want that we shouldn't use those functionalities, we have to create our own functionalities. At that time we have to create a custom controller here. Okay, and this custom controller is actually an Apex class which we are going to create now. So let me define a controller here. Controller, and you have to give a controller name here, and this controller name would be the name for your Apex class. So let me give a name, say PGN here. Now if I save this page, I will automatically get redirected to a new method or say new Apex controller. But you can take a manual a way of creating an Apex class. As we have searched for Visual Force page, we can search for Apex classes as well, and you can create them simultaneously. So search Apex class and just click on this Apex class. Here we'll create a new Apex class here. Now click on new. See, now whatever name we have specified here for the controller, same name we have to give to our Apex class. Okay, so let me write public class PGN, because this is the name I have specified here. And let me end this and let me save this. So now this Apex class would get saved from the name as PGN. Okay, the name of this Apex class has become PGN. Okay, and we'll edit it simultaneously as we'll go for our Visual Force pages. Okay. So here we have a Visual Force page and an Apex class related to it, associated to it. So let us continue with our Visual Force coding. Inside our Apex page tag, we have to now create an Apex form. Apex form. Now inside Apex form, we have to create a block for our details that is the customer name and the age. So we'll create an Apex page block. So similarly we'll type Apex colon and page block. When you just enter, automatically the end tag already gets created. So here the attribute which we have to use in this Apex page block is the ID. Yeah. So what's an ID? ID is an identifier that allows the this page block component to be referred by other components in that page. So whatever ID I'll write here, whatever ID I'll mention here, so that particular component will be referenced, can be referenced by other components in that page, in this particular Visual Force page. So let me give a name here called as details. So this details I'll use in the coming forthcoming lines. Now inside this page block, I have to specify a page block table, because I want that my information, the customer names and the customer age should be in the tabular form. So for that I'll specify a page block table here. So Apex page block table. And inside this page block table, we have certain attributes. The attribute which we'll use here is the value. Okay. So value, let me give a particular value here. The format of giving this value is inside bracket. We have to write an exclamation. Let us write MEMB. So what is this value? It is the collection of data displayed in the page block table. So whatever I am writing here, I'll use this in the page block table, that would be shown in the page block table. Okay, and this MEMB, I have taken this variable here. This will be used in my Apex class. Now apart from this value, I'll specify variable as well. Here one more thing I'll define, that is a variable, let's say m. All these things we are going to use in our Apex class, or you can say we are going to refer all those things in my Apex class. Okay. Now in this page block table we have to specify the column values as well. So what will be my column values? The name of my records and the age of my records. Okay, so for that we'll use Apex column. Yeah, so we'll use Apex column. There's no end tag for Apex column. You have to end that this Apex column tag here only in this tag itself. So the attribute which we'll use here is value. So here you have to write that particular field of the object which you are going to tabulate here, which you are going to display in a tabular format in this page block table. So the first thing which I want to display here is the name of the customers. So I'll start a bracket here followed by an exclamatory mark, and the variable which you used here will be used here, m dot. Here we have to use the API name of that particular field. Okay. So we'll go to field and relationships and I'll take the API name here, field name you can say. So I'll use this field name here. Now this tag is completed. Similarly, I want to use age field here, so I'll just copy and paste it, and instead of name I'll write age. So I'll just copy the field name and we'll paste it here. So here in these two lines we have specified the columns. So what will be, how the columns will look and how what values the column will have in my page block table. Yeah. So now I close this page block table using this end tag. So this is my page block table. Okay. This is my one page block table. Now apart from it, I want to specify some buttons as well. As we can see in my presentation, as you can see here, till now we have specified this page block table. Now we have to create these buttons as well. Okay, we have to create these buttons as well. So for creating those buttons, definitely we have to use some logic behind that, and that logic will insert in our Apex class. So let us go to our Apex class first. Let us go to our Apex class and write some code for that. First, in my Apex class, let me have some class, some top classes and some inner classes here. As you know, this public is my access modifier and this is my top class. I've created a top class. Inside this top class, I'll create some inner classes. So first, creating inner class, let me have a private here, private integer, and I'll use some of the variables. I'll define and initiate some of the variables here. Total records, first variable is total records and the value would be 0. The initial value is 0. Then let me have some more integers. Index its value is 0, and last one is the block size. Let me take as 5. Let me explain this. These three integers hold a particular value. These are the total records. Initially I have put it as 0. This is the index. Which indexed record is shown here, or which index record is starting from in a particular page, that would be my index. And this is the block files. This block file is simply a chunk of records to be displayed on a particular page. Okay, so I want that on my particular page only 5 records should be visible. So that's my block size. Now some basics should be clear here, that like we do in Java programming, here in Apex also. Apex is also an object-oriented programming. So in Apex also we have classes to perform specific tasks. Then we have objects here. You know what objects are if you know object-oriented programming. So objects are called the instances of a class. Yeah. So whatever classes we are creating, we create an object for them. So object will be the instances for that classes to be used. And apart from it, we have variables and methods. So what variable is, we can say the variables define particular state of an object. Sometimes they also hold the name of that particular object. And the last thing is the methods. So what methods do? They control the behavior of the objects, whatever object you have created and you are using in your programming. Okay, so those are called methods. Okay. So let me specify one more object here, one more method here, you can say. Here we'll make use of total records, and we'll specify what total records are. So we'll write SOQL query here. Okay, so what is the SOQL? Salesforce Object Query Language. So we'll write an SOQL query here. So select count from let me take the API name here, and end of the query. So total record will give me the count of the records present in the customer object. So in our scenario, this count will be 10 because we have inserted total 10 records in our object. Yeah. So the number of records present in our object would be specified inside the total records. Okay. So say, or you can say it will return the total number of rows present. Let me close this. And now, as we have, if you remember, if we have made use of list while creating certain records for the objects, here also we'll use list. Okay. So for that, I'll specify a public list, and my customer API name get MEMB. If you remember, we have used MEMB in the value inside my page block table tag. Yeah. So, and what this get is, In our Apex, we have getters and setters. Yeah. So what getter and setter is? The concept is really simple. We use get to take our data from Apex class to the Visualforce pages. Okay, I'll repeat it again. We use getter or simply get to take the data from Apex class to the Visualforce page, and on the contrary, we use set to return the value of Visualforce pages to the Apex class. So for that we'll use getter and setters according to our requirement. So here I want that the value of this MEMB should be taken to the Visualforce page. So that's why I have used getter or get. Yeah. So let's write code inside it. I'll create one more list here for this customer. I have used a variable MEMBS. If you remember, we have to create a list name. Okay, so you can say that this is my list name. So this is MEMBS, my list name, and now I'll use database dot query. So first understand what database dot query is. See, in database.query, we use a specific query. Select name. I'll copy the name API from here. Select name, comma, age, from the customer. Close this and I'll use a single quotation. Now we have to understand what is the difference between a simple SOQL query and a query used inside the database.query. See, queries are restricted in SOQL. Okay. So if I say queries are restricted in SOQL, that means the columns cannot be used here as variables. Neither you can use the conditions to be set. Okay, so we require a query to be generated as a string. So whenever we use a database.query, you can say it becomes a dynamic query, and dynamic query means a query to be will be generated as a string. Okay. So that is the purpose of using database.query. Yeah. Apart from this, we'll limit our query. So we'll limit according to our block size. Block size is 5. So on one particular page, I want only 5 records to be displayed. So I'll use this block size here. Limit should be block size. And apart from limit, I'll use offset also. What offset is? It is used for, you can say, filtering the results locally. So if I want that my pages should contain only 5 records, so those five records should not get repeated. If on my first page I'll have records from record number 1 to record number 5, so on next page I should get record number 6 to record number 10. Okay, those first 5 records should not get selected. If you don't use offset here, then on all the pages first 5 records only will be visible. You can try it while writing this code. You just omit this offset and just see for yourself. If you omit this offset, only first 5 records will get visible. Even if you click the next button, the first 5 record will be visible only on that screen. Okay, it will be persistent on the screen. So offset will take it as index. Okay. The index will value would be the offset. So that's my query. Now the last statement would be I'll return this MEMBS value, this MEMBS list you can say, and end of the statement. That was the query part, or you can say that was the listing part. Okay. Now if I go back to my presentation, you can see we have to create 4 different buttons. Okay. So for all these 4 buttons, we have to write a different code for that, or you can say, or for all these 4 buttons, we have to write separate logic for that. So first we'll create a logic, then we'll use that, we will associate that logic to our Visualforce page. Okay, so let me first write the logic here. So the first button would be the beginning, you can say. Okay, or you can specify a method called beginning for the very first button. So public void beginning and starting and end. Here the index value would be 0. Why? Because it is the beginning, it is the very beginning of your page or the number of records. So at the very beginning your index value of your record would be 0 only. Okay, so it will be 0. That's the logic of my first button, that is the beginning button. Now let me write the logic for my second button. Public void previous. So this will be for my previous button. Okay, so this method, and let me write the logic for that. The logic here will uses index equal to index minus the block size. Yeah. Index equal to index minus the block size. Why? Whatever your index is, okay, whichever index you are in. So if for example you are on index number 10, it will be the block size, that is 5, will be subtracted from it once you click on the previous button. Okay, so if you are seeing the next page, that is page number page which contains record number 6 to record number 10, and if you press previous button, you will be taken back to page number 1, that is the page which contains record number 1 to record number 5. Okay, so the block size will get subtracted from the index. That is the logic behind the previous button. Okay, now let me write for the next button, public void next. So as we have written the logic for previous, that is index equal to index minus block size, the logic for next button would be opposite of what we have written in previous. Okay, so it would be index equal to index plus the block size, because whatever index you are referring to, when you click on the next button, it will add the block size to that particular indexed record. Okay, So that is the logic for my next button. Now the last button, that is the end button I have to create. This is the end button. What it will do, it will take you to the last page. Whatever will be the last page, it will take you to the last page. So public, the method which we'll use here is public void end. And the logic here would be index equal to total records, copy it from here only, total records minus, we have to take the modulus here. Okay, so the math dot mod total records comma block size. So what it will do, it will take the modulus. What modulus is? When we use modulus here, so the division of first value with the second, the remainder value is being returned here. Okay, so what modulus is? When you divide first value with the second integer value, and in that particular division operation, the remainder will be abstracted. The remainder will be taken here. Okay, the remainder value will be returned here. Okay, so this is the logic behind the end button. Okay. Now, apart from this, the last portion of Apex class program is we have to create two Boolean values as well. Okay, two Boolean values as well, because see what my aim is. When I select this button, this previous button or the beginning button, these should get disabled, and if I select this end button, the end should get disabled because it is of no use. If you are on the last page, definitely your end buttons would be of no use, so this should get disabled. So for disabling these buttons, I have to create two particular Boolean values, and for creating those particular Boolean values, I have to create a method here. Okay, so let me define a method, public Boolean get previous. Okay, so prev is my method. Let me define the logic for that now. If index equal to 0, return true, else return false. End of the logic here. So according to this logic, when we are at the start of the page, very first page, so there's no use of the previous buttons there or beginning button there. So at that time, if index is 0, this Boolean value will return true. Now what we'll do is we'll use this previous method in my Visualforce page and will disable it, okay, in my command button. So let me define the last logic here in my Apex class. Public Boolean, as we have created for previous, we have to create it for the end button as well. So public Boolean get NXT for next. This is my method, and the logic behind my method would be if index plus block size is greater than the total records, then return true. The boolean value will be true, and otherwise else it will return a false value. So what the logic is, if the index plus the block size is total is greater than the total records present inside our object, at that point of time, in that scenario, it will return a true value, or otherwise it will return the false value. Okay, so this is my Apex class. So basically what we have done, we have defined all the logics in our Apex class, and according to this logic will define or will display our Visual Force page. So let me save it. So it got saved without any error, no errors we found. Yeah, now according to this logic we'll write a Visual Force page, the remaining coding of our Visual Force page. So here in the Visual Force page we have created a page block table. Now we'll create some buttons here. Okay, which buttons? These 4 buttons. So I'll write Apex page block buttons. I'll write my code inside them. So inside my page block buttons, I'll write Apex command button. The command button doesn't need an end tag. Now we have to specify the attributes inside this command button. So I'll write value equal to how my button should look. So my button should look like this, as I have defined, as I've shown in my presentation. Now I have to write a re-render. What re-render is? See, in our Visual Force pages we have two kind of attributes, render and re-render, you can say. Render is simply displaying a particular component on our Visual Force page. So for that you use render. Okay. Now what re-render is, if you want to refresh that particular page dynamically, then you usually use re-render button. Okay, now if you want that as you are doing some operations and those operations should be visible, the result of those operations should be visible on your particular Visual Force page, at that time you should write a re-render. Okay, and here in re-render we'll use this details, that is my page block ID. So what I want to re-render? I want to re-render the details, the contents of my Apex page block. Now I want to define one more attribute, action here. What action this command button will take? So now here you have to specify that particular logic, or you have to refer to the logic you have written in your Apex class page. So we'll use the name of that particular method here. The name for that method is beginning. Okay. Beginning. Now this first command button will have the functionality of this particular coding or this particular logic. Okay, so that's my first command button. Also, if you remember, we have used prev as well as nxt, so we'll use a disable tag here, disable attribute here. So disable equal to, so what we have used here, previous and nxt next. So I'll use this only, previous. So what it will disable here, it will disable the previous buttons. Okay, whenever you are, if you are on the very first page, it will disable the previous buttons. Okay, previous and beginning buttons. Now I have to write similar functionalities using different methods. So I'll just copy this here. Okay, and I'll make some changes. So this is my second button. So in my second button, how it should look like this. Okay, then re-render would be same. We have to re-render the details only, the contents of the Apex page block only. Okay, so let it remain like this. Now I have to change the method here. So the next method for which we had defined our logic was the previous method. Previous, and other things would be similar. Now these are my two command buttons. Let me create one more command button here. How the next button looks, the third button looks something like this. So I'll make appropriate changes here. Re-render would be same. Action we have to change. What action we have to specify for that particular button? So the next logic, the logic number 3, that is the next. Okay. Now this button will have the functionality of this method, next method, and here if you are on the very last page, so in that last page, the next button and the end button should get disabled. So here I'll use this nxt in my disable. Now let me create last button here, last command button. How it looks? It looks like this. So re-render would be same. We have to change the action taken by this particular command button. So our fourth logic, it is end. Just copy this here. See, these are simple terms, next and, but as I said, it is always programmatically correct. It's a good programming practice. If you copy certain API names, if you copy class names, if you copy method names to be used in your Visualforce pages, so the chances of getting an error reduces by this practice. Now all the 4 buttons are created. Let me have this end tag here, and for end tag for this Apex page block button, I have to end this page block here as well. It's present here, Apex form and Apex page. So this is how we can create the Visualforce page using the logics of our Apex class. Okay. So let me just quickly save this and let's see if there is some error present here. Yes, there is one error where at line number 11, column number 8. So where the error is, it's in command button. Oh yes, it's right, disable here. The actual attribute is disabled. That's why it is giving an error. No issue. So we have rectified it. Now let's check if it is giving an error now. Okay, so it's error free now. Okay. So after checking Apex class and Visualforce page, let me just preview it whether our code is working properly. So just click on the preview. So our code is working really fine. We have customers, from customer 0 it's starting the index number, and we have not specified any age for that. If we insert ages for the customer, age will also be visible here. So these buttons are disabled because we are on the first page. If I select next 5 customers are visible. If I select beginning, the first page is visible here. Okay, so our code is working absolutely perfectly fine. Okay, so this is how we can use pagination, or you can say this is how you can implement pagination in Salesforce using your Apex classes. Okay, so thank you for watching this video.